Okay, I'm just going to quickly make sure, can everybody hear me okay? Can somebody just give me a thumbs up or a heads up that you can hear me? Or
yes.
even yeah, fantastic. Fantastic, great. Okay, so thank you very much indeed for being with us today. This is another one in the series of getting the most out of Property Inspection Manager. Today's session is very much geared towards everybody. So I'm going to run through some of the more detailed stuff behind settings in PIM and what you can do to customize PIM to suit the way that you work and the way that you want to capture stuff. So one of the things that I always say to people is PIM's a great tool if you know what you want, and if you begin with the end in mind, you've got a good chance of getting there. So I just want to show you what I mean by that and where the opportunities are for you to be able to customize the areas that you look at, the things that you look at, and also how you capture the information. The other thing is that we've been developing now for over 10 years, and a lot of things have changed. And a couple of things within the, I'm going to say that the teching ecosystem have changed quite considerably. One of those is this thing, and that's the Apple Pencil. Now, it's not for everybody. However, I have noticed that this is quite a useful tool in certain circumstances. So I'll show you how it works today. So the other thing is Siri, and with the latest version of iOS 15 and beyond, a lot of the newer devices will actually convert voice to text locally rather than having to send it off to a server for conversion. What that means is two things, is you don't have to worry about being connected to the internet. And secondly, what I'm finding, it's an awful lot more accurate. So I'm going to go through two things today. One is the settings and how to customize, and then I'm going to go into an inspection and just show you some potential productivity tools that might help you when you're out in the field doing your inspections. So coming back a step, this is applicable for anybody that's using PIM for inspections, whether it's for commercial property management, whether it's for residential property management, whether you're doing inspections on community housing or social housing, or whether you're doing anything else that involves visiting an asset and checking a series of things. What I'd also ask is when we're online, if you wouldn't mind just switching the microphone off. I think everybody's done that already, which is brilliant. And if you have questions, if you could please use the chat feature in Zoom. Nikki's going to be monitoring the chat, and she'll be able to answer questions. And if not, if you can get in touch with us afterwards via support@propertyinspectionmanager.com, then we'll be able to answer questions for you. So without any more ado, I'm going to switch over to my iPad. So just bear with me a second while I bring this up on the screen. Should just take a second. It should be there. Yeah, I can see it coming up now. Just going to go to full size and then into PIM. Okay, so first things first. With PIM, you have obviously, we've got a variety of people in here today, but we've got inspections where you do your inspections, and you've got settings where you can customize the app to suit the way that you operate. So I'm just going to go into settings. The first page of settings, you've got a number of different options in here. And the ones that I just want to focus on today, you'll go into PIM admin, and then you'll see you've got your first area of PIM settings are the ones that I want to focus on. So you've got inspectors. Inspectors is where you set yourself up as the inspector. You put in the email address for where you want your reports delivered to, as well as going back to your property management system if you're integrated. And you also select your templates. I'll come back onto templates later on. These are the areas that I want to show you today, because used in the right way, that can be a very effective tool for helping you capture the right information in a way that you want to capture it. So that's shorthand words, inspection areas, smart property profiles. I'm going to start off with smart property profiles. So I've actually just downloaded PIM this morning, the latest version, and I've got in here the standard residential property profiles of a large property and a small property. All of these can be customized and added to so that you create a profile for groups of properties that you manage. And what I mean by that is, if you predominantly are managing apartments, you may want to create a property profile for an apartment, a 2-bedroom apartment or a 3-bedroom apartment. What that does, it allows you to create the inspection with the relevant areas for that type of asset more quickly. So if I go into now a new property profile or create one, what I can do is go into the top right-hand corner. I can press the plus sign and it says, what do you want to do? And I want to create a new profile. I'm going to call this a 2-bed apartment. And then what I can do is select the areas from here that I want to include within this property profile. So if I look through what's in my list of available rooms, I don't need a front gardens, but I do need an exterior and an entry. So I press plus and you'll see there it's changed it to a 1. I've also got a lounge, I've got a passageway, I've got 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, an ensuite, a balcony, kitchen meals area, and with this property I've also got a separate toilet, I've got a laundry area, and I've got a walk-in robe. For my inspections, if I'm going to use this for my periodic template, I'm going to add in here as well, maintenance required, suggested improvements, and our summary. And I'm also going to add my tenant summary. I've then pressed done, and I've added it to my list of my property profiles. So why would I do this? Well, because if you've got the ability to group your properties, if you're doing it for residential, you may have as we got on here, a large house, a small house, an apartment, you may have a townhouse, you may have a studio. If you're doing commercial properties, you may want to create different profiles for an industrial property, a hospitality, maybe a petrol station or a preschool, or any type of asset that you've got. But what you're doing here is you're immediately refining the inspection before you start and adding the rooms that are relevant or the areas that are relevant for that inspection. So you can create, I think it's up to 10 in here, which is sufficient for most companies. The other thing is you can integrate with your property management system and set it up so that when you schedule an inspection, should I say, in your property management system, and it says, hey, this is ready to inspect on a certain date. If you mirror the property profile in your property management system with PIM, it will say, I recognize this as a 2-bed apartment. I will set this up as a 2-bedroom apartment. So you've got the rooms associated with that, so that when you're actually on site, all you have to do is tweak rather than tweak lots of stuff. So I definitely spend a little bit of time in here and work out, what are the right property profiles for your asset portfolio, and what are the rooms that you want to include in those property profiles as well. The second thing that I want to look at in here is obviously the smart property profiles bring together inspection areas. So popping into inspection areas, not everybody knows that you can change these, all right? And when I say change them, you're actually disabling areas that you don't need and adding areas that you do need. And that goes down to the sub-inspection areas within those areas as well. This can be really, really useful for you because I do have occasional feedback of, well, I don't need to look at all of these things. So what I would strongly recommend when you have time is look at the rooms and the headings that are within your PIM. And if you don't need some of them, declutter. And to declutter, you press the edit button in the top right-hand corner. And then you can choose the ones that you don't need. So for example, if you don't need at the bottom, I'm just going to start from the bottom for your attention because it doesn't go into the front page of your report. Get rid of it. If you don't have any pools within your asset portfolio, get rid of that. Just clear up and tidy up and remove from the list the stuff that you don't want. Once you've ticked those, you can then go to disable, confirm disable, and they'll be taken away from the list. They're still there in the background, they're just not cluttering up your screen. So first thing is declutter and make sure what you have got in here is what you do want. The other thing is that if you want to add a different area, it's very easy to do that. And you can do that when you're out in the field, or you can do it if you're sat browsing at any time. So if I want to add a new inspection area, all I do is go to the top right-hand corner, press the plus sign. I can put a new title for that room, cellar, and then I can also in here add the sub-inspection areas associated with that room. So I can have the walls, I can add the ceiling, I can add the floor, and I'm not going to do everything in here, but I'm going to put wine racks in as well, okay? So I can create that additional area. And always remember with PIM, when you're adding something and you get this prompt on the screen to press done, pressing done saves it. It's very important to press that done thing, because otherwise you can end up doing a lot of work and it doesn't save. So always press done. That room that I've just created, my cellar, appears at the bottom of the list. What I can do now is change that to an area where it's more likely to be. So a more relevant area within my list of things. So if I press edit, up comes these little gray bars on the right-hand side, and I can move that up to the area here where I'm happy for it to be. So I've moved that up next to the laundry. Okay. So you can add an extra area. Now that area could also be a checklist of things. So if you are doing a checklist on health and safety, or if you're doing a checklist on anything that's relevant to the way that you work, you can just create a heading and then you can add those sub-inspection areas. That way you're creating a system that's focused on capturing the information that you need to capture in the right way. Also have a look at what we've got in here as far as the sub-inspection areas. So if I open up any of these, I'm going to just choose bathroom, for an example. If I go into my bathroom, you'll see that we've got pre-populated notes, pre-populated additional notes, and we've got our sub-inspection areas. If I look into sub-inspection areas, it gives me the list of all the attributes that I might look at if I was doing a detailed inspection. Now, a detailed inspection is probably going to be your property condition report when you're moving in or when you're moving out. So that's the time that you look at all of these. Very rare do we see a periodic inspection going around to this depth, but these are all the attributes that we've got pre-populated. If there are things in here that aren't relevant to you, same as I've just said before, declutter by pressing edit, and then you can take out anything that isn't relevant. Okay. You may not look at towel rails, for example. I can drop that in and disable it, take it out. It's more likely though, and I have seen this before, that you will add additional sub-inspection areas. So just pressing the plus sign, adding the towel rail, I'm going to put gold towel rail in here, just because I can, and it's added to my list. So you can manage the inspection areas, you can manage the sub-inspection areas so that they suit what you want. I definitely recommend that you have a look in here and just familiarize yourself with what is already included. One little word of advice for you, and it's probably quite a big word of advice, is in the past, I've had some setups where they've taken a room and they've added additional sub-inspection areas. Say, for example, the kitchen. You'll see there are already in here 19 different sub-inspection areas associated with the walls, the kitchen surfaces, the oven, etc. I've had people add up to 50 sub-inspection areas, which creates a really inefficient process for people. It's just far too much to take in. So try and get the balance right between ensuring that you capture the right amount of information to capture the state of the condition of the asset at that moment in time without creating too much work for you. Okay, So the other thing that I wanted to show you in here is that we have got areas for pre-populated notes and pre-populated additional notes. Remember, when you're actually creating an inspection, and I will go into creating an inspection in a second, pre-populated notes in here will go into your notes section. So if there are certain phrases or certain things that you will always put into your notes, if you're doing a property condition report, for example, you can add them in here and they will be pre-populated into your inspection. So as far as productivity tools, I realize that most of the time now you'll be writing free-form text for what you're seeing in the field. But if there are things that you would write as a matter of course every single time, you can actually add them into your pre-populated notes area and they will appear in your inspection before you start. So just reducing the amount of time that you have to take to key things in all the time. The other thing I want to just show you as well in here is the shorthand words and phrases. Shorthand words and phrases, we've really just got in here a list of places, and I would say that people are pretty good at quickly typing good condition or freshly painted or whatever it may be. These are really an indication of what you could put in here. And if you use the same phrase on a regular basis, then it's a really good idea to put those regularly used phrases into this area so that you can drop them into your inspections just by tapping a couple of buttons. So I did actually set up a couple last night for the garden. So what I've done here is I know that if I'm going to do a routine inspection on a residential property or on a commercial property, I may say something along the lines of the lawns are mowed, edged and weeded, flower beds are watered and weeded, overall it's well maintained. I'm not trying to create a cookie cutter copy and paste so that people think I'm not doing my work. It's just that I don't need to think of several different ways to say the same thing. And so what I've done here is I've put in my, my phrase. I use that quite a lot. I've put an abbreviation with it. So I put GG, which is good garden. And then I can recall that in my inspection by pressing GG and the space bar. The other thing that I can do, which I really think is quite a neat feature, is for certain areas, there may be phrases that are relevant to them. So what I can do is I can create that phrase that I use on a regular basis, and I can assign it to different areas. So in here, I can go through this list and say, right, that phrase about the garden, doing the lawns and everything else, I'm only ever going to use it in the front garden, and I'm going to use it in the rear gardens. Then press done. That means that when I'm doing my inspection, I can filter my words and phrases, and it just gives me the relevant ones for that area. Where I've seen this being used to good effect is having maybe 2 or 3 base phrases for the garden, for the kitchen, for wet areas, or for toilets, communal areas, whatever it may be. It just means that you don't have to think too hard. You can just bring up a list of phrases, touch them and drop them into the inspection. I will go into that in a second and I'll show you how that works. But a combination of using your shorthand words and phrases and keying in some text or potentially using Siri will help you get things done faster. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here, I'm just pressing done. I'm going to go into my inspection and I'm going to show you how to use these tools. Okay, inspection, I've got one inspection through here. I've brought through this morning just so that I've got one set up already. This has created my inspection against a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom property profile. So I've already got those rooms associated with a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom house. If I had set up a different property profile and I'd linked that to my property management system, it would create it with the relevant areas for that property. I'm just going to mention this to you while I'm going through this. If you're bringing in your information or if you're keying information on phone numbers and email addresses, it's really useful to have that information there. It does not get sent across to anybody else. It's for your use. So if you're doing an inspection, if you're doing it on your phone, you can touch the phone number and you can make a phone call from PIM directly. So it saves you time having to hunt and look for phone numbers. One of the other features that we've got within PIM now allows you to send an individual photo or a number of photos to a person. If you've got that person's email address or their text address, you can actually send it as a text or as an email straight to them. So having up-to-date phone numbers and like here and emails is actually really useful for you. And that goes for not only your owner, but also your tenant in case you need to get in touch with them. When you're actually planning your inspections, you've got this property info field. In some of the integrations that we've got, you can write notes in certain areas that will transfer onto the front page of the PIM inspection as well. Where that might be useful is if you want to put a note in the inspection before you go there to say, remember to check if the maintenance was carried out to a good standard in the kitchen. I think I probably mentioned before on these things, but I'm renting at the moment for the first time in a while. I've got people, tradesmen coming around. There's quite a lot of work being done on this older property. For my property manager, I think it'd be really useful for her to be able to come to the house to do her routine inspection and have a list of things to remind them to do. So you can put stuff in here like remember to look at something, remember to ask the tenant if they're in about what their plans are for next year, or it could be other information related to if there are dogs on the premises, or if there's a keypad number to enter the rear of the garden, anything that can help the communication process and keep it all in one place. So you can either do that through the integration, get in touch with our support team to see how that might work for your setup, or before you go out to do your inspection the following day, you've already brought it through, you can just add some notes into this area to remind you to do certain things, okay? Right, I'm going to tap to start my inspection now, which is down here. So tapping to start my inspection. What I've done is I've brought across my rooms associated with my 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom. I'm not going to go through the deleting rooms and things. It's the same process as I've just shown you in the back for getting rid of the areas and sub-inspection areas. But what you'll see here is for my front gardens, I've already got included in here lawns mowed, edged and weeded, flower beds watered, weeded, overall well maintained. Now, the reason that I've got that in is that I used it in my pre-populated notes, or I added it to my pre-populated notes for my front garden. So as a general rule of thumb, that would be the case. What I can actually do now is, if it isn't the case, then I can change it or I can delete it. And if I want to delete it, I'm just using my pen here, my Apple Pencil. I've just scribbled it out. So I don't know if you can see me doing this, but I've got my pencil, I've scribbled it out there. Now I'm going to look at my other options. So I can either key in what I want to put in there, or if I want to use my shorthand words and phrases, I've got my little circle with crosses that appears to the right-hand side of the box. And I can press on there and it gives me my phrases. You'll see up here, there is a little filter. Now, if I press that filter, it'll either give me everything that I've got within my phrases, which is probably too much for me to take in. But if I press the filter and show filter by relevance, it only gives me the phrases that I would put in a garden. So I can look down there quickly. I had the one in there before with the lawns mowed. I'm just going to choose now lawns in need of mowing and edging, weeds need removing from the lawns and the flower beds. So I've already got that set up. So in terms of speed of getting notes in there, if you can work like that and you've got phrases that you use on a regular basis, I definitely would recommend that you either add them at the back in settings, in shorthand words and phrases, or the other option is you can key something once, you can touch on it, And you'll see underneath, well, actually, I've just touched the screen there. You'll see it says save to my shorthand words and phrases. It will then pop up with, this is the phrase that you want to add. What's the abbreviation that you want to assign to it? Do you want to add it to this area only? So in that case, you can actually filter it and it will only ever come up in the gardens, or do you want to add it to all areas? So you can add phrases on the fly. So if you were going out to a property and say, for example, you've got 3 bedrooms and they're all painted the same, you can add walls painted white, no marks. And then you could copy it and just drop it in for each room. I'll show you a couple of extra things in a second with that. Okay, so the other thing that I've done in here is I've added some additional notes. So in settings, when I was looking at my area, I added some pre-populated notes for my additional notes. Check for water damage in my sprinklers. So what you can actually do here is create not only notes that will go into the inspection report, but also things to remind you to do stuff when you go to the property. So it's almost like a checklist. So anything that goes into additional notes isn't seen by the person receiving the report. It's for your eyes only. So you can just drop them in there. What I'm going to just show you while I'm in here is I'm going to go into a bedroom, and I'm going to show you this amazing little Apple Pencil. So the Apple Pencil that I'm using now, I can use to write my notes into PIM. Now, I've got something in there that's not quite right. I touch it, I drop it in. It's not perfect, but with a combination of the little keyboard that appears in here, pressing the space bar, I can add whatever I need to quite quickly. And what I'm finding with my pencil and my handwriting is it's getting better all the time. So it's starting to learn how I write, which obviously you can see my writing is fairly doctor-like, and it picks it up. Where I think the Apple Pencil, if you are using a newer device, or this one is about 2 years old, this iPad I've got now, but it was enabled with a pencil, is that if I'm going in to do an inspection, I can quickly write some notes in here. I don't have to have a connection to the internet, which obviously with newer versions of Siri now, I don't anyhow. But it means I can actually just focus on stuff. I don't have to talk into my device. So if I've got a tenant around or I've got background noise, it's quite an efficient way of capturing my notes. The other thing is just using this is quite neat for tapping on the screen. So, you know, it's clean. I can just tap on there. I've got some damage, I can tap twice. So the pencil's quite, well, obviously it's quite a pointy little thing, but it works quite well. So what I've got in here is, I'm just going to get rid of this for a second. I'm going to go into another room now. Is I can go in, I can obviously capture my notes using my keypad. I can use my little filter in here, show all. I can drop stuff in, and I can use Siri. So just remember to activate Siri when you're in an area. The little microphone will pop up on the keyboard. You can press that, and then you can talk into your device, capturing voice to text, so that you can fully describe the condition of the room or the area without having to key anything. Now, Medicare's come up there, that's quite interesting. So what I need to do is to remember to check things out, delete them. I'm just going to add space in there, and then go to the microphone again, without having to say things Sorry, without having to say things in the earshot of somebody who may not want to listen to you. The other thing that I do with my, sorry, just bear me 1 second while I just get rid of this. The other thing that I might do if I'm using Siri is I'll do it when I'm back in the car. So I'll take my photos and I'll add a couple of notes when I'm on the premise. But then when I'm in a quiet place, then I'll use Siri to capture voice to text. So one of the other things I want to show you with this pencil is if I'm going into a room and I want to take some photos, so I'm just going to, I've got my camera in here. I'm going to bring up my camera. A couple of things here in terms of productivity. Always remember with PIM, you've got two options with the camera. You've got, if you just look on here for a second, I've got my photo and I've got my multi-shot. If I want to take a series of photos rapidly, I press multi, and that allows me to, I'm just going to zoom in on here because I can see something I want to report. I can click, take a photo, take a number of pictures quickly, and then press done. Once I've taken those pictures, I can press the photos bar and I can view those pictures. If there are some that I want to get rid of, I can press the edit function in the top right-hand corner, and that allows me to highlight some photos. Say, for example, if I don't want to use them, I can delete them straight away. So I can go into here, I've got my photo selected, I've got the little button beside it, which I press and it says, hey, do you want to share those or do you want to delete them? In this instance, I want to delete them, so I'm taking them out. So I can take quite a few photos quickly and I can get rid of the ones that I don't want. What I can also do is I can press on an individual photo and I can add some notes to this photo. I'm actually going to get the one that one there. So I've just picked up this picture. I'm going to put some notes in here. I'm going to add water damaged tiles. Hopefully it picks it up. No, not files. I want to have that as tiles. There we go. Okay. So I'll put in my water damaged tiles. I've actually pressed on that photo now so it's larger. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the edit button. I'm going to use the tools on the bottom. So I've got an arrow. I've got other options. I'm going to use my pen. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to highlight. And I'm going to use the eraser to get rid of that bit there. And I'm going to put an arrow, which I'm going to put in red. And down here, I'm just going to put some text in. So I've got a text box, bring up my keyboard. I'm just going to put water damage. Get rid of that. Thank you. More haste, less speed sometimes, but there you go. So I've marked that up. I'm happy with that. I'm highlighting where the water damage is. I've pressed done. I've saved it. I'm putting it back in the list of things. What I'm going to do now is, as another productivity tool to increase the speed of communication with your colleagues, what you can do is press edit. You can select photos. You can go back down to this bar here, and where there's a little action button, you can say, I want to share those photos. And it says, well, who do you want to share them with? I actually want to email these straight away to the owner. So I've got lots of options. From my device, I can send a message, I can email to the inspector, to the owner, to the tenant. If I've got those email addresses already added into my PIM through the import, I can immediately press email owner. It will say, hey, hello Fee or Jeremy Ems. It's from me. Please refer to the attached photos. We've been looking at this property, conducting it. Here's the photos that were taken. You need to look at them. And obviously you can then go into here, add some more notes if you want to, but you can immediately jump on issues and send those through to either a colleague back in the office or to the owner or to the tenant. And so you can communicate quickly with them. I just send that straight off from my device to whoever I want to. So have a look at that in the app, because it's quite a neat little tool for you to be able to send information that's important to people quickly. One of the other things that I wanted to show you as well is if you are going through a property and conducting an inspection, and a lot of the rooms are similar, you can actually copy and paste a room so that you don't have to start all over again and do the same thing again. Rather than going through one in detail, I'll just quickly show you this one here. So I've got bedroom 2, a lovely bedroom, no problems to report. Okay, so I've got all this stuff in here, all the things I was doing before. If I want to copy any room at all I need to do is put my finger on that bar and it will bring up a little floating box. And it says, do you want to copy this room? Do you want to copy it with all the notes and the quick check labels? If I press, I want to copy it with the notes and quick check labels, it recreates an identical room underneath. I can then go into here and I can change the name of that room to bedroom 3. So I've got bedroom 2 and bedroom 3. They've now got separate headings, but they've got the same content inside. Where that could be really, really useful is if you've got all of the rooms pretty much the same. So speaking with a few of my contacts last week who've got apartment blocks and new apartment blocks that they brought onto their rent roll, they're all painted in the same way. They've got white cornices, they've got white ceilings, they've got off-coloured white walls. If you've got all that information for one room captured, you can literally just press that room, brings up this copy and paste bar. Copy is an empty inspection area, so you could have all the areas associated and put new notes in, or copy it with all the notes and the quick checks. That way, you're able to actually build up your inspection really, really quickly. Obviously, it doesn't carry over the photos because it's a different room, so you're just literally having to add your photos to that inspection area afterwards. Okay. The other thing is if you do have a number of properties that you're bringing on board that are the same and you want to repeat a complete inspection, you can choose from a couple of ways of doing this. You can actually go to the list of inspections on your device. You can choose to edit by pressing the edit button, which is just up here. And then you'll see at the bottom it says repeat. If I touch that, repeat 1, it will actually confirm repeat inspection. It will produce an identical version of that inspection for me. And that will have all of the same notes that I had previously in my other inspection. It won't have the same photos, so it just does the same areas in the same order, and with the same notes in there and comments in there. But you can then very quickly change the address on this one if you want to. So you could put in, for example, just get rid of that, put in 126 Risley Street. That's saved in there. So you've got a new inspection set up. I've got 125, 133, I've now got 126, 133. And then I can go into my inspection and I can tweak anything that needs tweaking, and I can add the new photos. So what I'm just going to do here as well is I've got the single shot for my camera. Just remember when you're taking your pictures, you can also add notes. So up in here, if you want to add some notes to the photo while you're taking the picture, you can add stuff in here. I'm just going to use Siri. Evidence of water damage to the walls. And then if I want to, I can edit that straight away. and I can use my tools in here to highlight the areas that need highlighting. Remembering to press use photo. Done. So I've now got that photo in here. I've got it marked up. I've got my notes. I can choose to, as well, change the notes on there if I want to. Adding anything else that's relevant to the inspection. And then if I want to, I can share that photo straight away. Just going to send that to just testing. Okay, so I just sent that one through to one of my colleagues. Right. With the Apple Pencil, as I say, it's not for everyone, and obviously through today's demo, I'm rushing through things quite quickly. But let me just show you. Walls painted white. It's pretty good considering how scrawly that writing is. It may be something to consider, and I think this is the first generation pencil. So the latest generation ones are a little bit better, and it's definitely in combination of using that and bringing up the little keypad as well. I can just put spaces in there, and I can actually just use this to tick on the keyboard with no marks. Backspace, bang, done. It just takes practice. It just takes a little bit of effort. But I think with all of these things, with PIM, a little bit of time investing in the settings, a little bit of time working out what works for you is really, really handy. Definitely what I would be looking at is that combination of how do I get my comments into my inspections more quickly without it looking like it's just copied and pasted for the sake of it. And definitely I would be looking at building up your library of commonly used terms. So, you know, like this one here, I've just got this set up now. I'm going to touch the screen. It says, do you want to save it to my shorthand words and phrases? And I can do. Walls painted white. I'm going to add it to all areas, and then it's saved. So now, if I go to another room, I'll just go into, say, for example, my dining room. I should be able to, if it works the way it should, walls painted white, press the space bar, it appears above, I can touch it and drop it in with no marks. So I can use those, which is great. If I've got rooms that are all the same, I can press down on those rooms, copy with notes and quick checks, it's added to my list. So I've now got that additional room as well, another bedroom 3 down there, which I can now change the heading to bedroom 4 or bathroom 4, whatever I want to, which is good. And then also, just remembering I can use my Siri combination in here, which can be done now without having to use the internet. So you don't have to worry about data. It's local, as long as you've got one of the new devices. And Siri does work an awful lot better now than it did a couple of years ago. Always check whatever you put in there and make sure that it's not putting in any furfies, but I'm sure you do that already. The other thing that in terms of productivity tools, there is a lot of development going on at the moment with a variety of property management systems. So the tools that are being built allow you to set up your inspections more accurately is one thing, but also send that information back as a completed report, and in some instances as a not only a completed report with some fields that are sent to areas within the property management system. We're also with Series 8 and Released and some others able to send work requests and maintenance tasks straight back into different workflows as well. So if you are using a system to integrate with PIM, and you want to get the most out of it, we've got separate guides for that. So if you could just email support@propertyinspectionmanager.com, then they'll be able to help you out with additional information of how to get the most from that integration. So hopefully today you've got a couple of things that you might be able to use to help you do things more efficiently. My word is to you is think about what it is that's important to you. Think about the assets that you've got on your rent roll. Think about when you're going out, what is your inspection? What are you looking for? If you're looking for things that aren't in the list within the rooms or the sub-inspection areas, you can add all that. And you can add additional rooms as well to suit the way that you operate. At the end of the day, when you produce a report, you can also ensure that it goes into the template in a way that suits the way you want to present it to your target audience. So you can customize these templates to have the important information on the front, as you know. If you want to change anything, let us know and we can have a look at amending it. But you can present the structure of the information that you're collecting when you're in the field to suit the way that you want to present it to your target audience. So what that means is for the front page, if you want to have additional areas on there, like tenant discussions or tenant requests, you can do that. We can sort that out for you. If you want to, with your inspections, particularly the periodic ones, if these labels, you don't need them, they can be removed from the inspection. Or if you want to change the headings, that can be done in PIM as well. So some of my clients will have satisfactory, tenant action, landlord action. You don't have to have the headings that are standard within the system. There we go. Okay, I think that's probably enough for today. If you have any more questions, just please use the chat function with Nikki. If you've got any other questions or any other suggestions or want us to get in touch or give you a ring later, please just send that through to us via the email address below, which is support@propertyinspectionmanager.com. Thanks very much and have a great day. All the best. Thank you.